What's going on, everybody? There's another episode of the Post Game Report podcast. I'm Jose Betancourt, aka JVB. This is going out on YouTube and, of course, iTunes. So if you're not subscribed to either one, do yourself a favor and subscribe because you get to listen to this voice every week. Anyway, as always, I appreciate the fact that you're taking the time out to either watch the YouTube channel or listen to the Post Game Report on iTunes. So I'm solo once again. And because of that, I want to talk about something I did on Sunday. Now, I've been talking about doing things more consistently, going and getting out of my comfort zone and trying to learn different aspects of my hobby. For example, podcasting. I'm always trying to get better at podcasting, even though I've been doing it for 10 years. There's always room to get better. Same thing with my photography. Now, my photography, I've been doing it for a lot less, and I can get a whole lot better. There is so much to taking photos that you'll be amazed. And there is so much going on right before you hit that shutter button, and so many different techniques. And you can get caught up with all of the critique, all of same thing with video games. You go to a forum about photography, whether it's the hardware, the software, or just technique in period. I mean, technique, period, in period. What the hell is that? Anyway, so just like video games, there's always a group of people that are always going to drag things down in conversations, things like that. So you got to stick to what you know, stick to what helps you advance. Now, for example, myself, I take every once in a while, I take a look at the first photos I've taken with a DSLR camera. Now, I'm not talking about taking photos with your smartphone because that's how I started. That's how a lot of people that I met in various photo walks, that's how they started. They hear people saying, hey, your photos are really good. You should do something with this. And they gain a little confidence, like myself, and finally they decide to take the plunge, take things to the next step, and go out and spend some money on a DSLR camera. So that's what I did. I instantly upgraded like a few months later, 2 times. Finally, I have me a Fuji X-T2, which is one of the best cameras in the market right now. And that is not just my opinion. That is a widely uh, popular opinion. So this Sunday, as a matter of fact, on Friday, I saw that there was a photo walk. I saw it on my Twitter feed. For as bad as Twitter can be, it can also be good because you can find things out every so often. Somebody retweeted a link from Apple that there was going to be a photo walk in New York City on Sunday. So I signed up. It was free. It was the Apple store in Prince Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Now, I don't necessarily know if it's the Lower East Side, but it's right by, the famous pizzeria down there. And it's Sunday. It's busy, even though it was freezing. There's always people in New York City, especially in that area by NYU College and all that. So Sunday comes. This particular walk is at 2 p.m. Now, a photo walk, it is basically the way it sounds. You get together at a specific location, you meet up, you wait a little while to make sure there aren't people coming in a little late, and you go to a destination. You walk for maybe a mile through a certain route, and then at the end of that specific route, everyone meets up somewhere, preferably indoors. They do their editing, they share their photos. Now, I've only been to 2. This specific one was in the Apple store, big Apple store in Prince Street. And upstairs, there's a theater. So there was a presentation beforehand, and we did a walk around NYU, around some of the very beautiful streets of New York City in that area around Prince Street, Soho, And you have the old sidewalks with the bricks on the roads. And on Sunday, you had very strong shadows. Like there were a lot of shadows, a lot of bright sunlight coming down, even though it was very cold. So, me being a procrastinator, I spoke about this a little while ago, a few episodes ago. I started procrastinating. Now, on Saturday night, I began talking myself into going. I, I had that internal battle going, and I kept telling myself, you're going to go to this event and you're going to expand your network. You need to. If you plan to do photography in any shape or form, besides just doing it as a hobby, you need to network. You need to go out there. You need to show your work. You need to meet people who are interested in the same things that you're doing. So I get there. Now, I had a bad headache on this particular day, and it was freezing. I had a bad headache, but I was like, you know what? I can take the R train all the way to Prince Street. It's only a few blocks up. What the hell? Why wouldn't I want to go? It's so easy to get there. So we get there. Well, I get there. I thought I was going to be a little late. Thankfully, the train came right away. As I stated, one train all the way down to Prince Street. I get there. I walk, get into the Apple store. Now they make you sign a waiver form because you're going to somehow, before we didn't even know this. The gentleman was like, you're going to be recorded. And so if any footage with you in it is, if you're in any of the footage, we need you to waive the rights that you won't sue Apple or whatever. You basically give us permission to use your face or your photos. So this is what I'm trying to do. As I'm talking here, I'm trying to find the gentleman who was... Actually, let me look at... I'm here on my Twitter profile, which is at JVB. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find George's... let me see. George's Twitter handle. Because I don't want to just call him George. I could easily edit this part out, but because you guys have been hanging around me for so long, you guys go way back with Broke Ass Jeff and all that stuff. So here's another situation where I totally mess up somebody's name. I'm here calling this guy George. His name is Dave. Dave Krugman. Okay, so his Twitter handle is at Dave_Krugman, KRUGMAN. Now, he is a very talented photographer. He does street photography. He does product photography as well. So he's on stage. He's talking about himself and how Apple hired him to do a photo shoot with Victory, who is a musician, very talented young lady. And they went to Central Park and various parts of New York City on a very foggy day. And he took photos with the iPhone X, with the iPhone 10. So as he's talking, now some of these photos were freaking unbelievable, considering that they were done with a smartphone. So as he's talking, I'm looking around, and I'm like, holy shit, am I supposed to be using an iPhone for this walk? Because I have a freaking Note 8 phone, and here I am with my freaking Fuji X-T2 hanging off my neck like a freaking dork. And I'm looking at everybody, not really paying attention to Dave talking on stage. And I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm going to have to leave. Like, when everybody starts walking, I think I'm going to sneak off because I don't have a freaking iPhone. So as we walk downstairs, I asked one of the guys who I see with a camera around his neck. I'm like, yo, you going to use your camera for this walk? And he's like, no, I'm going to use my iPhone. I'm like, oh, crap. So I asked another lady. And finally, I saw a couple who had cameras. And I'm talking about DSLR or mirrorless cameras. Now, they look like Fuji cameras. So I saw that they were strictly using that. So I decided, you know what, instead of speculating, let me ask one of the monitors that was walking with us if I can use my Fuji camera. So he says yes, as long as you're able to airdrop your photos at the end when we come back. Because Dave, I mean, yeah, wait, hold on a second. Yeah, Dave is going to show some of your images and do a critique. So I'm like, sweet. So I go, look, I got an iPad Pro and I do all my editing there. So he goes, okay, so you have an iPad, you can easily airdrop your photos to Dave. So you're all set. So once I got that over with, I was able to enjoy the photo walk. And it wasn't too long. It was maybe 40 minutes because it was cold, but basically what we did, Dave would go around and he would tell us, like for example, we would see some strong shadows on the floor or some harsh lighting, and he would have somebody stand by the light where half of the body is consumed by this light, half is in the shadow, and he would talk about how he would take this photo and how to use reflection off windows and all that good stuff. Things that I somewhat utilize in some of my street photos. As he was doing this, all of us are taking pictures of victory. We're taking photos, and I hit my microphone. Hopefully, everything's good. And it was funny because as we're taking photos of Victory Boyd, excuse me, uh, she's standing around, all of us taking pictures. We look like paparazzi, or more, instead of paparazzi, we look more like students learning how to take photos of a model or a celebrity. And people are like, who is she? Who is she? So we had to keep answering the question. And so there were people using their smartphones who, by the way, were very new to taking photos on their smartphones. Like, these are people who were like, I guess they saw the advertisement and figured, you know what, it's a Sunday, let me go check it out. I had to teach one guy to use his iPhone 10, how to use his location and send his wife his specific location on the map. And being that I know I own an Android phone now, uh, it was pretty easy to remember all that stuff. Overall, I was extremely happy that I went. And the only reason why I'm talking about this is because sometimes, as I stated a few episodes ago, we can talk ourselves out of anything. And it's so unfortunate. The biggest battle amongst ourselves is our own pessimism. Had I not gone, I got more followers on my Instagram. I don't know if it's because I posted photos of Dave or of Victory, but now I'm over 700 followers on my Instagram. 709 to be exact, which is, it took me like forever to get past 690, which is weird. But by the way, my name on Instagram is JV Beta. So follow me if you want to see more of my photographs. On my Twitter, I noticed that when I post photos, I don't get the same response. Now, obviously, Instagram is all about photos. So obviously, I get more likes on that. So I tend to post more photos on Instagram. Even though I love sharing my photos with people on Twitter, I do get some good feedback. And there are people who actually want to get into photography and often hit me up about what type of equipment, what I do, things of that sort. And that feels good because it's a hobby that I truly enjoy. It's relaxing. It gets my creative juices flowing. And I treat it as art. And some people tend to like it. So obviously, I'm doing something right. But had I talked myself out of that, I would have never met some really, really cool people. Dave wanted me to send him some photos I took of him, and he thanked me on his Twitter. I mean, on Instagram, he has like over 200,000 people who follow him on Instagram, so it's pretty cool. But overall, my overall message is if you enjoy a hobby, whether it's podcasting about video games, making YouTube videos, taking photography, I mean, it doesn't matter. Uh, Whatever you enjoy doing, just give it your all and try not to talk yourself out of advancing. That's basically what a lot of us do. We say, "Yeah, you know what? I'll go next week," and we miss something cool that happens. And Lord knows I'm one who does that. Granted, I've been doing this stuff for 10 years, video games and podcasts, so it's a little easier for me to kind of get lackadaisical. But when it comes to photography, it's a whole new uh, it's a whole new hobby. It's a totally different thing that I'm learning, and it's a different type of crowd. So it's out of my comfort level, and that's the biggest challenge. And people say it, and I can vouch for it. Once you get out of your comfort level, you really discover who you are. You discover new things, you discover new talents within yourself, by the way. This is something that I told my son. Let me see, it was about 4 years ago when he took this test. His guidance counselor recommended that he take this test. And they said, well, this test is so that he can get into a program and possibly get into a private school. So I was like, you know what? Let me discuss it with my son. So I did. And my son wasn't too enthusiastic about it. He was going to public school, by the way, here in Queens. So we go, me, my wife, my son, we go to visit the guidance counselor so we can get more detail about this. Something told me, you know what? Let me pursue this. So she says, the counselor, she goes, since I've been working in this school for the last 7 years, I really can't remember anyone passing this test. So I look at my son and I said, don't you want to be the first to pass this test while she's still here? He shrugged. He's like, I don't know. So lo and behold, he takes the test. He passed the first stage. There are 3 more stages to this program. 3 more exams. One's an interview. Another one is writing. He had to write an essay. And the 4th was an IQ test. Lo and behold, he passes. Now, once you get into this program, you have to go for 2 years. Each of those 2 years involved going to school 5 days a week during the summer. And during his regular school year, he had to go twice a week. Once on Wednesday, once on Saturday. On Saturday, it was 8 to 4. 8 to 4. It was a full class. And he had to go home on a Saturday night and do homework. So he had homework from his public school and homework from this program. And during the summer, every course that he had homework in had to be done the same night as well, 5 days a week. So the kid, when he got into this program, he was pissed off. He said, I'm gonna lose 2 summers. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. This is an opportunity. You just don't know what's gonna come out of this. Okay, so this is how tough this program is. Out of 3,000 kids who took this test, only 125 kids got into the program that my son got into. Out of that 125, only 90 actually graduated after the 2 years. And he now goes to one of the top schools in America. Not just New York City, but in America. Tuition is nearly $50,000 a year. And he goes and gets everything completely free. And I remind him all the time, I'm like, dude, had you decided that you were in your comfort zone and you didn't want to change and you didn't want to take a challenge, you would not have everything you have now. My son is in great shape. He has a girlfriend for like 8 months. He he's in swimming, he's in water polo, he has great grades, and he has amazing friends. I mean, my son is truly happy, and I'm happy for him. And that goes to show you that once you decide, okay, I'm going to take on a new challenge. I did it for work. I did it to show my son. It was something that I wanted to show him, and I was like, look, I'm going to take this test to advance in my job. Yes, this is something I was going to do eventually, but I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to show you that I'm going to study and I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to pass this test. And I wasn't really mentally ready to do all this, but I did it. And, thankfully I passed, got my raise, got my promotion. So sometimes you just gotta get up and do it. it. Accept that challenge before it even comes. Make the challenge, beat the challenge. Don't wait for the challenge to come at you. There's always opportunities out there. You just got to take them. Or sometimes you got to create them and just dominate them. It's just how it is. So, anyway, uh, like last time, this is an unorthodox episode of the Post Game Report. But as always, I always appreciate everyone who listens to the Post Game Report and everyone who watches on iTunes. I know it's not a video podcast, but you get to hear the audio on YouTube as well. So, thank you. You guys take care. I'll be speaking to you soon. Bye.